There is a moment when everything around you feels fixed, unmovable, and resistant to change, and in that moment most people fall into silence or begin to speak in agreement with what they see. They describe the pressure, they repeat the problem, they give voice to fear without realizing that every word reinforces the atmosphere they are trying to escape. But there is another way to respond, a higher way that does not depend on circumstances lining up first. It begins when you choose to open your mouth and say something different, something that does not come from your emotions but from a deeper conviction inside your spirit. When you speak with intention, when your words are rooted in belief instead of reaction, something begins to shift even if you cannot measure it immediately. The air may feel the same, the situation may look unchanged, but beneath the surface a rearrangement has started. The unseen realm responds first, and then the visible follows. This is why speaking out loud matters, because your voice carries authority that silent thoughts do not release in the same way. There is a force activated through spoken words that begins to push back against heaviness, confusion, and fear. Many have been conditioned to wait until they feel strong before they speak confidently, but strength often comes after the declaration, not before it. When you say, "I am steady, I am unshaken, I am aligned with truth," you are not pretending, you are establishing a new direction. The mind begins to follow what the mouth consistently declares, and the atmosphere begins to reflect what is repeatedly spoken. Even if doubt tries to interrupt, you continue speaking, not because everything is perfect, but because you understand that words are seeds, and seeds require time to manifest. As you keep declaring what is right instead of what is wrong, your inner environment starts to stabilize. Thoughts that once raced begin to slow down, emotions that once dominated begin to settle, and clarity starts to take the place of confusion. This is not accidental, it is the result of choosing to speak life where there was once hesitation. Your voice becomes a tool that shapes the direction of your day, influencing how you think, how you respond, and how you move forward. The atmosphere around you is not as fixed as it appears. It is sensitive to what is spoken consistently and with belief. When your words change, the pressure begins to lose its grip. The heaviness that once felt overwhelming starts to lift piece by piece, and what once seemed permanent begins to shift. Even if others around you continue to speak negatively, your consistent declaration creates a different space, a different current that you begin to walk in. There is power in repetition, in saying the same truth again and again until it becomes established within you. Each time you declare it, you are reinforcing it, building it stronger, making it more dominant than the opposing voices. Over time, what you speak becomes what you expect, and what you expect begins to shape what you experience. Right now, in the middle of whatever you are facing, there is an invitation to respond differently than you have before. Not by analyzing the situation, not by waiting for it to improve, but by choosing to speak with boldness even when everything feels uncertain. Most people allow their current condition to dictate their confession, but faith refuses to be controlled by circumstances. Faith rises in the middle of pressure and says something that does not match what is visible, because it is anchored in something deeper than what can be seen or felt. When you declare, "I am not moved by what I see, I am not controlled by what I feel," you are drawing a line between yourself and the instability around you. You are making a decision that your emotions will not lead you and your environment will not define you. These words are not empty statements, they are acts of resistance against fear and doubt. Each time you say them, you are strengthening your inner position, making it more difficult for negativity to dominate your thinking. There is a tendency to think that words must be supported by evidence before they carry weight, but in the realm of faith, words create the evidence over time. When you speak in alignment with truth, you are not denying reality, you are confronting it with something greater. Your voice becomes a force that challenges what is temporary with what is unchanging. Even if your mind tries to argue back, you continue to speak because repetition builds conviction, and conviction produces stability. As you keep declaring your stance, something begins to settle within you. The internal tension starts to ease, and a sense of control begins to replace the feeling of helplessness. This is not about controlling every external detail, but about establishing authority over your response. When your response changes, your perspective shifts, and when your perspective shifts, new possibilities begin to appear where there once seemed to be none. Speaking out loud also engages your focus in a powerful way. It interrupts negative thought patterns and redirects your attention toward what you are choosing to believe. Instead of allowing your mind to wander through worst-case scenarios, you give it a clear direction. You tell it what to hold on to, what to expect, and what to reject. This process begins to retrain your thinking, moving it away from fear-based reactions and toward faith-filled expectation. There will be moments when it feels repetitive, when it seems like you are saying the same thing without immediate results. But this is where persistence becomes essential. Every declaration is building something, even if you cannot yet see it. Just as a foundation is laid beneath the surface before a structure appears above it, your consistent words are laying the groundwork for visible change. Over time, what you speak becomes more natural, more automatic, and more deeply rooted within you. Instead of reacting to pressure, you respond with authority. Instead of echoing doubt, you release confidence. Your words begin to carry a different tone, one that reflects certainty rather than hesitation, strength rather than fear, alignment rather than confusion. You may find yourself looking around and thinking that nothing has shifted, that everything appears exactly the same as before. And there is a strong temptation to measure progress only by what is visible. This is where many people lose momentum because they expect immediate evidence and become discouraged when it does not appear right away. But what is happening beneath the surface is not always visible at first. The process of change often begins in a realm that cannot be seen, and it requires patience and consistency to bring it into full manifestation. When you continue to speak words of faith in the absence of visible results, you are engaging in a higher level of discipline. You are choosing to trust that something is happening even when your senses cannot confirm it. This is not denial, it is alignment with a deeper reality. The unseen realm is active, responsive, and influenced by what you consistently declare. Every time you speak in agreement with truth instead of doubt, you are strengthening that unseen activity. There is a quiet transformation that begins to take place within you as you persist. Your confidence starts to build, not because of what you see, but because of what you have been saying repeatedly. Your words begin to shape your expectations, and your expectations begin to influence how you interpret everything around you. What once looked impossible begins to feel less intimidating, and what once felt overwhelming begins to lose its intensity. Doubt will try to interrupt this process by pointing to the lack of immediate results. It will suggest that your words are ineffective or that nothing is changing. But doubt is often loudest right before a breakthrough begins to form. This is why consistency matters so much. When you continue speaking in the face of opposition, you are not only resisting doubt, you are weakening its influence over your thinking. As you stay committed to your declarations, you begin to notice subtle shifts. Your reactions change, your perspective widens, and your ability to remain steady improves. These internal changes are indicators that something real is taking place. Even though the external situation may still be in transition, you are no longer the same person responding to it. You are becoming more grounded, more focused, and more aligned with what you have been declaring. The environment around you also begins to respond over time. Opportunities that were not visible before start to appear. Conversations begin to take different directions, and circumstances slowly begin to align in ways that reflect what you have been speaking. This is not coincidence. It is the result of sustained alignment between your words, your belief, and your expectation. It is important to stay aware of what you say during this period because inconsistency can slow down the process. Speaking positively one moment and negatively the next creates conflict that weakens the overall impact. But when your words remain steady and intentional, they build momentum. Each declaration adds to the previous one, creating a cumulative effect that becomes stronger with time. There is something powerful that happens when you choose to lift your voice with intention, instead of allowing it to drift with whatever you feel in the moment. Many people underestimate the impact of their own words because they have become accustomed to speaking casually, repeating whatever thoughts come to mind without examining the direction those words are setting. But your voice was not designed to be passive or reactive. It was given to you as a tool to establish, to direct, and to shape the atmosphere you live in. When you begin to speak deliberately, declaring what you want to see rather than what you currently see, you take control of the narrative that surrounds your life. Instead of echoing problems, you introduce solutions. Instead of reinforcing limitations, you begin to speak expansion. This shift may feel unnatural at first, especially if you have spent a long time expressing frustration or doubt, but consistency will begin to rewire that pattern. The more you practice speaking with intention, the more natural it becomes. Your words carry creative influence, and that influence is amplified when you speak with conviction. It is not about volume alone, but about clarity and belief. When you say, "Light is breaking through, doors are opening, things are turning in my favor," you are releasing direction into your environment. These declarations begin to guide your focus, helping you notice opportunities and pathways that you may have overlooked before. What you consistently speak becomes what you are tuned to recognize. There is also an internal alignment that takes place when your words match what you are choosing to believe. Your thoughts begin to organize themselves around your declarations, and your emotions gradually follow that alignment. This creates a sense of stability that is not dependent on external conditions. Even when things around you are uncertain, there is a steadiness within you that comes from knowing what you have been declaring. It is important to remain mindful of how easily negative speech can slip back in, especially during moments of pressure. A single careless statement may seem insignificant, but repeated patterns of negative expression can begin to rebuild the very atmosphere you are working to change. This is why awareness is essential. Catching those moments and redirecting your words keeps the momentum moving in the right direction. As you continue to speak with purpose, your confidence in the process begins to grow. You start to recognize the connection between your words and the shifts taking place in your life. Situations that once felt fixed begin to show signs of movement, and your ability to remain focused strengthens. You are no longer reacting to everything that happens around you. You are influencing it through what you consistently declare. Over time, your voice becomes a steady force, something that carries authority and direction. The atmosphere around you reflects that consistency, becoming more aligned with the words you have been releasing. What once felt out of control begins to respond, and what once seemed resistant begins to yield as your declarations continue to shape the environment with clarity and intention.